But when you watch frightening movies, horror movies, and you see spooky stuff going on, and you think it's just so far-fetched it could never be reality. But then when it happens to you, it can be reality. Now, I never believed in anything of spirits or demons or anything like that. I was an agnostic who was fascinated with the supernatural, aliens, extraterrestrials, but not demons. And this is where deception came into my life. Now, if you're new to this channel, my name is Sean Kalu. Please don't forget to hit that like and subscribe buttons. We're bringing you more Christian content. Now, I'm going to speak about my encounter with the demonic realm, and this is the truth. I cannot lie. I'm a Christian, and this is how I came to the realization of the existence of Jesus Christ and God, because I realized there was a devil in this world. Now, my encounters with darkness goes back to even maybe when I was younger than I am, maybe 15, 16, even longer years ago. And yes, some very frightening experiences, and I'd no defense against that. I wasn't a man of prayer. I wasn't a Christian. I grew up, as I suppose, baptized a Roman Catholic, Christian Roman Catholic, a traditional Roman Catholic, you would say, but not a practicing Roman Catholic, a cultural Roman Catholic. I did believe in God when I was younger, but my faith faded away as I got older. As I got older, I became an agnostic who, again, I would say I was fascinated by the supernatural. I did believe in aliens and extraterrestrials, but nothing to do with biblical account of Jesus Christ or any of that sort. I would have actually branded Christianity as complete nonsense at one stage in my life. But till I went into a dark place, there was a light, and he was Jesus Christ. And he still is today, thank God. I'm not saying I'm a perfect Christian. I do fall. And by God's grace, he does give me the grace to forgive me and help me be, I suppose, a better Christian. But only for God, I suppose, I'd be grateful I can even share my experiences of my encounter with the demonic realm, because it was a very frightening time in my life. It was real, and it was like you're walking through a nightmare, especially when you don't have no defense against it. Now, as again, I used to suffer with nightmares as a child. My mother even told me that as a baby. I do believe I was spiritually sensitive, and I suppose I encountered, demons, evil spirits, fallen angels, so on. I believe have spoken to me. I believe I know have spoken to me. It was frightening. As I said, I go back to, I suppose, about 10 or 11 years ago. This was really at the peak of that, around 2013, when I was I used to be a heavy drug taker. But as well as that, this was not down to drugs or psychological issues. This was down to truth. This was down to actually this happened. Around 2013, I remember I encountered something very evil. It was spiritual. I remember one night I walked into my room. It was in October. It was around October. It was around coming to the end of autumn, coming into our winter. And I remember the room was freezing. I remember that the fear that I was feeling I could say it was crippling. And I felt something, a fear I never felt before. I don't think it was something there, just to say. And when I closed my eyes, I knew subconsciously that I was going to be communicating with something. I thought it was an alien, and that's what I thought was speaking to. Now, my memory, it was in vivid, but this demon, but it knew who I was. It knew my family, and I had the sense to know that I was in the presence of real evil, that it was speaking to me, and it wanted something. I didn't really know what it wanted, but really, was it the soul, my soul? We realize now to the Bible you can't sell your soul, but these demons can trick you, and you open the door to these demons. You can open the door to them if you're not in Jesus Christ. If you're in darkness, you've no protection. Demons will come. Not all to everybody, but they do come to people. They do come, and they did come to me. No reason to lie. The conversation with that particular demon or fallen angel didn't end so well. And it didn't end so well. It didn't go so well, in fact, for me. After that, I believe I was in very, very big troubles. I didn't know what. I suppose I did believe it was an alien. but I'd no defense against this. That this was a superpower in the universe, and I was in big trouble. Who was I going to go to? Call the police? What was I going to do? I did remember telling friends about my experience, and as I said, I did believe it was aliens. But even go back before that, things was building up to that time. I began having sessions with things I shouldn't have in my life, and it's just a way of opening doors to the devil, having that, making other things are idle, and that attracts demons as well. And doing drugs is sorcery. It brings those, it attracts evil spirits into your life, and nightmares, the sleep paralysis you used to have. Sometimes I'd see demonic entities, and I've seen them myself, demonic entities, and you just try to put it down to a dream, but you really knew it was real, that this was more than a dream. It was more than a nightmare. It was a reality that you were walking through a nightmare. And as again, it was frightening, and really just it started to spiral out of control. As again, I didn't know what to do. As again, I wasn't a man of prayer, I wasn't a man of faith. But funny enough, something maybe started tweaking me. Was there in fact a devil in this world? I remember I was homeless. I was a drug addict at the time, and in fact before I go to that, I used to stay in homeless hostel. I used to leave the light on because of fear. I was afraid. Sometimes I'd leave the light on, I'd try to sleep the light on. And I remember one night, the room nearly went completely pitch black, and I felt an evil presence, and I felt something there, and it was frightening. But I remember I spoke to this guy. He was homeless too, in his old age, obviously developed a drinking habit, and he was in a homeless hostel where I was in County Clare. And I told him my situation, and he told me the story about the devil, Lucifer, and God. And I do believe that God could have used that conversation to plant the seed that this was in fact. I don't believe that was the devil that came to me. I believe it was a fallen angel. I believe it was a demon. But I believe that God used this conversation to put a bit of truth to me, that this was in fact coming from Satan, what I had experienced, and my experience down through the years of darkness had become. Now the Bible says the way of the wicked is like darkness. They don't know what makes them stumble, and that was me. As I said, for our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but principalities, spiritual wickedness, powers of darkness. And I was having those encounters with something supernatural, with something evil. And as I said, when I encountered that presence in my life, that fallen angel or that demon, I knew I was in the presence of pure evil. It was sheer evil. It was chilling. The way it spoke, audibly, it was chilling. Thank God for Jesus Christ. Thank God that there is a power above all powers, that the demon and the devil and tremble in the presence of God. The devils do, that we have Jesus Christ as our protector, and to know that yes, we're not alone in the universe, but we have a light that's in the universe. And Jesus said, I'm the light of this world. Whoever walks in me will not walk in darkness, but have the light of life. But as my testimony, it brought me towards Christ. It brought me towards the truth. This encounter with the demonic realm, it brought me to the Lord. It took a while, but I started planting seeds as that experience, as I opened up to what had happened to me. And thank God I did, to people who had some biblical knowledge of what was going on in our universe, in our world, because this age has blinded the mind of the unbeliever and the glory of the gospel. But as I encountered Christ, not for I suppose a couple of years after that, but when I started to believe in God, I never had that experience as bad. I'm not saying it's been perfect, that I've had demonic attacks, of course I've had, but now I have defense against it, now I have prayer against it, now I have truth against it, because I have no truth against it. The devil comes with his lies, and he comes to deceive, and that's what he does. And yes, as I said, if anybody's watching this that who's experienced that darkness. Anybody, there is people out there who, sometimes when these things are happening to you, you feel like you're the only one in the whole entire world this is actually happening to you. But there is people who's happened to. There is testimonies of people who suffer the same thing. I look on YouTube of people who've encountered with Satan, and they've encountered him. It has brought them to Christ. And that I was one of them. But I go to that encounter, and then I go to how I encountered Jesus. Now, as again, I didn't believe in God, but I was coming to one stage around 2014. I started to question the existence of God because of my research on YouTube and things like that, and the devil was popping up a lot. Seeing artists selling their souls to the devil. It was said on YouTube videos, and and it was bringing me to realization of God, because there has to be a devil, there has to be a God. And after that, then I suppose 2 years in 2016, I started really seeking the Lord. I was going into a Catholic church, I was praying to statues, I was doing all those things, but it wasn't the way to God. But Jeremiah 29:13 says, "Seek me with all your heart and you will find me." You will find God. But one night, 2016, around April actually of 2016, it was the week of Christ's crucifixion, Holy Week. It was the remembrance of Christ, the Thursday before Good Friday. I watched The Passion of Christ, funny enough. I watched the movie and I found it very powerful, actually, very powerful. And I went up to bed that night and I had a dream. Now, I remember seeing a white bird in the dream. It was like a dove. I remember before I opened my eyes, God did show me the threat of the devil in the dream. But even though the dream had beauty, it had peace, it had hope. So I wasn't used to nice dreams. I was used to nightmares and, traumatic dreams. That's what most of my life. And I still have never had a dream like that. It was beautiful. And I remember I had, a spiritual confirmation that God was real and Jesus was real. I remember the hair standing on the back of my head. And something went through my body to realize that, wow, God is real. Now, I didn't understand the Holy Trinity. I didn't understand the denomination. There was lots of things before I could come to the truth. It wasn't 4 years before I was going to my life to the Lord in 2020 when I became born again. As I said, after that experience I had, I was going to the Catholic Church. I was praying to statues, but I didn't really know the biblical foundation of the Lord. And yes, as I said, that darkness that I experienced ever since, spiritually, I never went through a period like that again in my life as I did around 2014, 13, 2012, so on in before that, years before that, as this experiences of my past experiences, never, I have, mildly, I did encounter something before and I backslid away from the Lord. I did encounter demonic entities, yes I did, so I have to bring that into it, because I backslid away from the Lord. I was going to go away from the Lord, and I encountered demons as well, and there were like people in spirit, as Derek Prince said, the description of them, evil as you could get when I encountered them. And every time I was closing my eyes, I would encounter him again. And I rang a friend who had experience with demonic spirits too, and he told me to pray the Psalms 91, and it stopped after that. And that year I was coming back to the Lord again. So as I said, only for Jesus I'd be destroyed by evil spirits and demons, be destroyed completely. The devil comes to steal, kill and destroy. He's not alone. He has his agents, he has his forces who are operating under his authority, and it's a real truth. And many people are physically alive but spiritually dead to this truth. But we just pray that there will, if anybody is ever encountered that, just come to Jesus Christ, because demons believe in God and they tremble. Give your life to the Lord, turn from your sin and come to him, because sin does expose you. And doing these acts, there's many people who's never knew Jesus Christ, might never experienced what I've experienced. Many people But as again, I opened the doors through the fascination of aliens and extraterrestrials, which I will get into in another video about that. And really what they are is demons. That's what aliens are. They're demons. That's what they are. And you know the devil is using them to distract people, to deceive people from the truth, because when you encounter them, you know that the darkness behind the extraterrestrials, if you see them, the character of them, the look of them, it's completely demonic. As I said, it tries to pull you away from the truth, tries to pull you away from Jesus, tries to pull you away from God. That's what they are there for, these fallen angels who are operating in the skies, in the air. That's what they're there for, to pull you away from the truth, to deceive you from the truth. That's what they are. But as again, I really want to touch on this subject of how, I suppose, the darkness I came into. I mean, I could talk a lot more about it, but it'd be a very long video. And if anybody would like to hear more about it, please leave a comment under this video. As I said, to get back, as I said, I'm new to YouTube and trying to be a new YouTube creator, and appreciate everybody who's watching this. And yes, as I said, I'm happy I touched on this. So till next time, stay blessed.